Hello all, in this video we'll be dealing with the implementation of inheritance in C++. What is inheritance? Inheritance is the capability of one class of things to derive the capabilities or the properties of another class. Let's go with a real life example here, vehicles. Vehicles can be categorized as automobiles, that is motor driven vehicles, or without motor, that is pulled vehicles. So in automobiles category, we can quote many examples like car, bus, lorry, van, motorbikes, etc. etc. In the same way, for pulled vehicles, that is without motor, we can quote carts, that is bullock carts, horse carts, like that, and rickshaws. Now we move on to the implementation of this inheritance in C++. First, we will see the different forms of inheritance. The first one is the single inheritance. When a subclass inherits only from one base class, it's known as single inheritance. Here you can see the example. There are two classes, A being the base class and B is the derived class. Class B, that is the derived class, derives from only one base class here, that is A. Next form is multiple inheritance. You can see here only one subclass C is there. It is derived from more than one base class, that is A and B here. Here only two classes are shown. Generally, multiple inheritance means when a subclass inherits from multiple base classes, we call it as multiple inheritance. Form of inheritance is hierarchical inheritance, where many subclasses can be derived from one base class. We can say it's just the opposite of multiple inheritance. And we move on to the next form, multi-level inheritance. You can see here three classes, A, B and C. We start from the derived class C. It is getting derived from the base class B, which is again a derived class of the base class A. So now you can see a transitive nature here, because the derived class C gets the properties of both the base classes, that is B and A. B, the derived class, gets the properties from base class A. So this type of inheritance is called as multi-level inheritance. The next form of inheritance is hybrid inheritance. This hybrid inheritance combines two or more forms of inheritance. You can see in this diagram, C is the derived class of A and B. This implements multiple inheritance. And if you see the lower part of the diagram, D and E are getting derived from C, which is hierarchical inheritance. And if you see the left part of the diagram, A, C and D, it is multi-level. In the same way, the right side of the diagram, B, C and E, again multi-level. So, we call this type as hybrid inheritance. Next, we move on to the visibility modes in inheritance. Actually, when you inherit a class, you can inherit in the form of private, protected or public. That is the three access specifiers in C++. Just a small recap. Private variables cannot be accessed by the objects of a class. Protected variables can be accessed by the inherited classes, not from any other class. And the public variables can be accessed by the objects of a class. So now we will see how it goes. When you inherit a class in public visibility mode, the protected and the public members of the base class will be derived as protected and public members in the derived class respectively. And if you inherit a class in protected access specifier, or we can say protected visibility mode, the protected and public members of the base class will be derived as protected members in the derived class. And if you inherit a class in private visibility mode, Again, the protected and public members of the base class will be derived as private members in the derived class. In any case, private members of a class are not at all inherited. Let us start with public visibility mode. Here you can see two classes, the base class super and the derived class sub. Base class super has three variables, x in private section, y in protected section, z in public section. It also has three member functions, check in private section, calc in protected section, display in public section. Coming to the derived class, it also has three variables, a in private section, b in protected section, c in public section. It also has three member functions, init in private section, getVal in protected section, func in public section. Now, the base class is getting inherited in public visibility mode by the derived class sub. See what happens. The variable and the member function in protected section comes into the protected section of the derived class. In the same way, the variable and the member function in the public section of the base class comes into the public section of the derived class. Next, we move on to protected visibility mode. Here also you can see the base class super and the derived class sub. In protected visibility mode, the variable and the member functions of the protected section and the public section comes into the protected section of the derived class. You can see the diagrammatic representation here. See y calc of protected section comes into the protected section, and the same way z and display of the base class from public section comes into the protected section of the derived class. Next, we move on to private visibility mode. In this mode, the variable and the member functions of the protected section and public section of the base class comes into the private section of the derived class. You can see the diagram here. The protected section variable y and member function calc comes into the private section of the derived class. In the same way, the variable z and the member function display of public section from the base class comes into the private section of the derived class. Hope you have understood. In the next video, we will be seeing the programming examples based on this. Thank you for watching.